All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Market Close. We are here today. We have a lot of stuff to look at once we get the final closing bell. We've got about 15 companies that we will be covering today. Lots of different companies, lots of stuff to look at. Rocketlab is the big one for a lot of you guys. We also got Coinbase, Lyft, Monster, CleanSpark, DraftKings, Trade Desk, and so many more. So we got a lot to talk about when it comes to earnings. But on top of that, it has been a wild day in 2025. And the reason it has been a wild day in 2025 is because, well, you had the president of the United States, after officially closing the first trade deal of the ongoing trade war we are having with the entire world, the country being the United Kingdom, say this at the end of his press conference.
You better go out and buy stock now. Let me tell you, this country will be like a rocket ship that goes straight up. This is going to be numbers that nobody's ever seen before. That's a very important element of all of this. You know, if we get that, if you don't, and the Democrats are fighting it only because they want to fight. They have Trump derangement syndrome. You know, if it was somebody else, they wouldn't fight. If you had a normal person, you had some stiff sitting behind you, they'd be fine. But they have Trump derangement syndrome. You know, Senator Schumer's become a Palestinian. Welcome. I don't know when they're going to give him the ceremony, whatever the ceremony may be. It's terrible what's happened to the Democrats. So
you better go out and buy stocks. I mean, dude, what more of a signal do you need, right? What more of a signal do you need? When the president last time said this, where he said it was a great day to buy, we pumped aggressively and we recovered pretty much 10% inside of the day. On the S&P 500, we were down like 12% the day before or 2 days before, and then we recovered 10%. We are now officially done with the April lows. We are very close to that 200-day moving average on the S&P 500, 566. Could not get above that 570 level. Then we topped out around 569, but we are still up 1% on the day. Palantir, a hell of a day for Palantir, 119.64. We did get to 120.50. So back to that 120 range on Palantir. I don't know about you guys, but maybe there's a shot the triple-digit range is starting to become normalized for Palantir. I still think it's too early. We've only been there for about a couple weeks. I think we need at least a couple months to say, yup, we are not going below triple digits again. Anything can happen, macro volatility, all this stuff. But it is nice to see Palantir have this type of momentum, up 8.3% on the day. And then Hoodie, 54.45. We didn't crack 55 yet, but we are up 9% on the day as well for Robinhood. So it's been an incredible day. NVIDIA, relatively flat day, but still 117, not bad. Again, Palantir 119, Meta at 600. The companies that didn't really move today, Google, it's up 2%, which is nice, but not as much as a lot of these other high flyers. And then Apple, 197 right here. That's up about 0.81%. The indices in general are having a lot of love. Even Shopify, the Qs right here up 1.2%. Shopify was down 7% on the day. Now Shopify is green. That's how much momentum we've had on the day, with a lot of stocks that had a decent earnings, maybe not a phenomenal earnings. They tanked in the market open. Trump said, hey, it's a good day to buy stocks. And then boom, you got this momentum in regards to what we're seeing in the broader equity markets here right now. On top of that, the UK deal, let's talk about that real quick. It was a big deal. I actually felt the presentation of that deal was good. It was a strong presentation of the deal. And I think Lutnick actually explained why this was necessary, how they got it done, and the nuances between steel, aluminum, ethanol, beef, all that stuff that the UK and the United States trade between each other. I think they did a good job presenting it. So the United States will now have $5 billion of exports in terms of new market access that we have to the United Kingdom. We're going to be getting $6 billion of tariff revenue because our tariff rates are now 10%. They were 3.4. We somehow got the deal done. You got to admit, it's not too bad to get the deal done with the concessions we got while retaining the 10% tariffs on the United Kingdom. And the UK tariffs went down from 5.1% to 1.8%. The Prime Minister of the UK and the trade representatives were on the call, and they were pretty amicable. It didn't sound like they were upset or that they got ripped off or that the United States got the better of them. It kind of felt like a win-win for everybody. And so from that perspective, it was the easiest deal we could have got done. And we're still going to have to get the finalization of the deal and the actual details, get like real commitments, because as of now, nothing has been signed. It's just like a framework for what the deal looks like. But in general, it's not one of those things that is horrible. And I think it's a really good starting point to get progress on India, which I think is going to be the next one. And then you've got China coming up. Scott Bessent will be in Switzerland for the next 3 days, May 9th to May 12th. And hopefully we will start real trade negotiations with China as well. On top of that, Trump was speaking again. I don't know where he was speaking, but he was just giving some comments to reporters at some press conference that he was talking to. And he said a couple things. Number one, he said He is seeking a tax hike on the wealthy who earn 2.5 million or more. So that was one quote that he gave, probably because he's realizing, hey, we probably need to raise a little bit of taxes to be able to pay for all the corporate income tax cuts that we have. And then number two, this is reported from the New York Post. Trump is weighing a China tariff cut ahead of the Swiss talks, and the China tariffs could be slashed to 50 to 54%. Now, this is not really that big of a deal. We already knew the 145% tariffs were going to go down from 145%. So the fact that the New York Post is reporting that, hey, we probably are going to get a little bit of a reduction here before we enter negotiations, probably the right thing to do in good faith for Bessent to say, hey, it's not 145. Let's start at like 50. Let's see what we can do, have a good discussion, and then go from there. But this is everything the market wants to see. This is everything that the market wants to see. We're giving up some of the highs of the day. I think that's natural. Overall markets, S&P right there, up 0.78% after being up 1.2%. It is what it is. I don't think we're going to hold on to all the green that we got today, but it was a hell of a day. It was a hell of a green day, and it was not too bad at all in the context of the broader equity market. So now we've got earnings coming up. I will not be streaming the Rocketlab call, but I will link Matt Money's channel. I think the Rocketlab call starts at like 5 Eastern. So we'll be going through all the other earnings, but I think when Matt Money gets into it, you guys can switch over to his channel and listen to the call, listen to his analysis. Him and the fellow Rocketlab Weekly people have done a phenomenal job covering this company since it was $4, and it's not $4 anymore. And they've been covering it for the better part of 2 years now. So you guys can go to his channel once they get into it. I have a lot of companies that I've got to look into, and let's make the watch list for it right now. I'm going to be using Webull today because Robinhood Legend After Hours has been really messing up on the percentage change. So let's set this up on Webull so that we can see the exact numbers right here on the day. All right, we've got obviously Rocketlab, we've got Coinbase, we've got Monster Energy, we've got Lyft, we've got what else? CleanSpark, we've got Trade Desk. That's an interesting one. They're down 70% year to date. We've got DraftKings, which Steve started getting more bullish on. Steve did text me, by the way. He said, I've got to do something about these Palantir covered calls. He was like, am I an idiot or what's going on? I was like, the market just wants more exposure to Palantir. It is what it is. It is what it is. What else do we have today? We have Marathon. That's a Bitcoin miner we got. We have Paramount Digital. So we got Marathon, Paramount. And let me know which ones you guys own in these names. Pinterest and Toast and HubSpot. Pinterest, that's social media. Toast, that's fintech. HubSpot, that's enterprise software. Cloudflare, that's also SaaS, that's net. And we also have SoundHound, Dropbox, Sweetgreens, SoundHound. That's AI audio, Dropbox, that's also enterprise. And then Sweetgreens, this is food. So we got a lot of names. We got a lot of names that we're going to be covering. And we're going to be trying to go through all of them on the day. I'm sure there's some more that I have that I'll add as well, but these are the main names that we're going to be looking at. Let me know which ones you guys own. I own 1,000 shares of good old Rocketlab, the lab of rockets. I have no idea, quite frankly, what's going to happen to the stock. All I know is that Neutron's important and that eventually Neutron should be able to take this thing to a much higher level. It's already pumped a lot from the lows. So, it is what it is on Rocketlab. If it goes down, it goes down. If it goes up, that would be nice. But I don't know a ton about the company. All I know is that at $10 billion market cap, when SpaceX is worth $350 billion, I would think in the future, the next 10 years, Rocketlab can probably outperform the broader market. And so that's why I have exposure to Rocketlab. And I like Peter Beck. When I heard him do an interview, when Peter Beck said, hey, when I go home after a busy day, I like to stroke my rocket. I mean, that was my thesis. I was like, all right, this guy has a sense of humor, and this is not afraid to say what he wants to say. So that's when I got more excited about Peter Beck. Let's get a little bit more coverage on the Trump UK stuff, and then we will get into it. We got the market close in about 4 minutes.
On certain products. The president said, though, Scott, he just doesn't believe ultimately that those companies are going to raise prices. He says that they're trying to negotiate with him in public by making those kinds of announcements. He said ultimately he believes that the companies can absorb the tariff hit, and they will do that. He doesn't think American consumers are going to see a hit to the wallet here, Scott.
I mean, we've already seen some price increases, so that's called into question for certain. And we'll potentially see what happens from here, these big events over the weekend and then into next week. Eamon, thank you so much. That's Eamon Javers.
You bet.
On the North Lawn, as always, at the White House for us. Quick programming note, don't miss a first on CNBC.
All right, so we got about 3 minutes. Again, Trump basically saying, hey, American consumers will be able to handle the increases of prices because the overall tax revenue we'll be getting from the external revenue service will be enough to handle it. We are going to see how that ends up playing out, but UK was our first trade deal. The S&P 500 getting a bit of a red candle right here. Oh, we did hit 570 today. Wow. At 1:30, we hit 570. I missed it. We didn't retain it, and that's why the broader market, you're seeing a bunch of red candles across the board, but still not horrible. S&P 500 right here, 564 on the day. Oh, Grindr's earnings are today? Wait, actually? Are they actually today? I mean, all right. I guess we'll have to take a look at them. All right, what's today? May 8th? Oh, today's May 8th. All right, dude. We got a lot of companies to look at today. We got a lot of companies to look at today. Let me add INOD as well. I'm sure there's a lot of names I'm not covering, guys. I'm trying to get to all the names. It's going to be madness once earnings starts. So just, oh yeah, Webull lets me only add 16. All right, so I will try to look at some other names on the other side of my screen. It is going to be madness. I'm going to try to get through all the numbers. I promise I will make my best attempt to get to every single name. I might be talking about one name while your name is going crazy up or down. You just got to give me a couple of minutes to get through all of them, but I'm pretty sure we will look at all. And we're not listening to any earnings calls. We're not listening to any calls, so we will have more than enough time today to make sure that we at least try to get every single company's numbers and have some reaction to what their earnings looks like. Palantir, 2 minutes into the close, 119.35. It looks like we're going to end up 8% on the day. And I think Hoodie is also going to end up 8% on the day. By the way, Bitcoin, I mean, we didn't talk about it a lot, but Bitcoin, my freaking goodness. I think Sailor is going to pull this off, dude. 101,000 MicroStrategy. If you've been patient, you bought the dip, you just believed in Sailor. I mean, you've been heavily rewarded. This thing got to below 200 at one point over the past couple months. And the more Bitcoin goes up, the more the net asset value premium goes up as well on MicroStrategy. And as of now, Bitcoin back to 101,000, not just 100,000, it's above 101,000, which is just incredible. Just an incredible day. That's also helping Robinhood, the broader market. And then you got the S&P 500 right here up about 0.6% on the day. Pump or dump poll in the chat on Rocketlab. 63% of you say pump. 37% of you say dump on Rocketlab. We are going to find out in the next 10 minutes for all of these companies and see what ends up happening today. All right, here we go. Thank you, everybody, for being here. It is going to be some earnings madness after the bell, but that's why we're here. Thursday, May 8th, 4 p.m. Thank you, everybody. The stock market is now closed. All right, here we go. Now it is time. Palantir closes up 7.85%, 119.15. Hoodie, 5407, up 8% on the day. The S&P 500, 564.98, up about 0.68%. And Bitcoin, 101 currently right now. These are the companies we are looking at. These are the companies we are looking at. Sweetgreen, Dropbox, SoundHound, Cloudflare, HubSpot, Toast, Pinterest, Paramount, Marathon, DraftKings, Trade Desk, CleanSpark, Lyft, Monster, Coinbase, and Rocketlab. These are going to be very, very important companies to take a look at in terms of how they perform, what numbers they put out, and then also can they continue the trend that we've seen yesterday. Yesterday, I think we had 70% of the companies we were looking at that beat EPS expectations by over double digits. So if we see something similar to that today, I think the market will definitely be excited, and hopefully that will help maintain the multiple expansion that we have on the broader indices as well. All right, here we go. I'm not using Legend today simply because the aftermarket percentages, there's like a bug on Legend and it's never like accurate. Like yesterday was really weird. So I just want to use a normal thing today and until they fix that because we got a lot of companies that we got to look at. All right, here we go. Lyft is up 4%. Lyft gets the first green candle. Let me update my screens and see if I have some numbers and then we will get into it. We got Trade Desk. All right, we got Trade Desk. Real quick. Let me go to Trade Desk stock and then let's see the numbers on that. Trade Desk right here is TTD. We are up, wow, 11%. All right, Trade Desk, we got a pump on Trade Desk. Here are the numbers. They beat by 32% on EPS. 32%. I'm just going to read the numbers so that you guys can see the stock. 32%, 33 cents versus 25 cents expected. 616 million versus 575 million. That's a 7% beat. Revenue is up 25% year over year. EPS is up 27% year over year. TTD was down 60% going into the print. Looks like they put up some really strong numbers. Beat on the top and the bottom and a pretty damn big beat on EPS. Again, with the trend of other companies beating by high double digits on EPS. Trade Desk right here up 12% right here on the day. HubSpot's up a little bit after hours, 2%. Where is Lyft? Lyft is up 5%. I'll try to get Lyft's numbers in a second, and we'll take a look at them. But Trade Desk right now is the big one that is taking off. Does Affirm have earnings today? Oh, dude, all right, I've got to put up on my other screen. Goodness, dude, we have so many companies that we are looking at. I'll pull those up in a bit. I think Rocketlab's at 410. That one might take a little bit of time before we get those numbers. Let's get the Lyft coverage right here, and then we will keep going from there.
Letting us know that they aren't yet ready.
$5 billion. Now, back in February, Lyft announced its inaugural buyback program of $500 million. Today, they said they are upsizing that to $750 million share repurchase program. That comes after activist investor Engine Capital called on the company to raise its buyback pace and also called on them to explore strategic alternatives, including a sale. Now, Lyft said this was the 16th consecutive quarter of double-digit year-on-year gross bookings growth, and also said that in the last week of March, rides reached the highest weekly levels in their history. You see there the stock up 5%. Morgan?
Okay, Pippa Stevens, thank you.
All right, that's what we got on Lyft. I'm waiting for Coinbase and Affirm. Don't have their numbers yet. We should be getting it soon. SoundHound's moving a little bit. Let me pull that up. Lyft, by the way, now up 10%. So Lyft and Trade Desk having a good one today. Paramount's flat. Pinterest is up 2%. Toast is flat. DraftKings is flat. Monster's up a little bit. Coinbase is up 1%. All right. This was a great day for Coinbase to report. You got Bitcoin above 100,000. I can't think of a better time for Coinbase to put out their numbers. Let's see. The market tends to fade Coinbase every time. Like, there's always like a 10% move and the market tends to fade it. So I don't know how the market's going to react today, especially if, Bitcoin volatility was a little low in Q1. So maybe the transaction volumes aren't that high on Coinbase. But usually it gets a little bit of a flat reaction after earnings. SoundHound, let me see if that one's moving. That one's up about 1.2%. Don't have those numbers yet. We got a red candle right there. Hit $10. Now it's back down. HubSpot is flat. Toast is flat. Sweetgreens, that is also flat. Trade Desk is the big mover, 11%. And then Lyft up 10%. The rest of these names we are still waiting on right now. Shopify was in the morning. They had a good earnings. They missed by 1% on EPS. They were down 7%. Then they pumped towards the end of the day. But Shopify was already in the morning. All right, we got Dropbox. How many people still use Dropbox? I kind of use Google Cloud more than anything. But Dropbox right here, they are down 2%. Beat by 13%. Again, whether you own it or not, another stock that beats by double digits on EPS. 70 cents versus 62 cents expected. 624 million in revenue versus 619 million in revenue on Dropbox. They beat by 1% on revenue, beat by 13% on EPS. Stock right here is down basically 2% right now. Market cap is 8 billion. They're doing about 2.4 billion in revenue a year. So they really don't get a multiple, I guess, because people are just not that excited about Dropbox. Also, the growth probably isn't that amazing. But that one right here has a little bit of a red candle as well. Lyft is still the big mover. Pinterest is flat. CleanSpark's down 5%. All right, CleanSpark's moving. CleanSpark is down 5%. That one's down. Is Rocketlab up yet? I don't think we have Rocketlab's numbers yet. Rocketlab's up 1.2, 23.39. It's up a little bit. No numbers yet. Marathon's down 1% and CleanSpark's down 3.6. So it looks like we have some numbers there that I'll try to pull up in a second and see what we've got from that perspective. Do we have any new numbers? Let's see. Nope, just Dropbox and Trade Desk. We're going to wait till we get some more of those updates. Oh, TMDX, I forgot. So that one also, that's a big one. This is a retail favorite. This one is, wow, up 15%. These guys deliver organ transplants. It's a very unique business model. I think the reason they got a retail following is because they're a bit differentiated from the other players in the space, and their growth was pretty phenomenal. They fell 50% about 3 quarters ago, and that's what really got the stock hit. But they might be making a little bit of a recovery. Let's go to Toast earnings real quick before we look at TMDX. So Toast, they have earnings today. This is a fintech company. They are up 1.1%. They beat on, EPS, 29% beat, 9 cents versus 7 cents expected, 1.337 versus 1.34 billion in revenue. That's a very slight miss, less than 1%. But EPS, they did beat by 29% on the day. Not bad. Again, more companies showing some of their momentum. We have Expedia earnings as well. Let's pull that up. Expedia, it's a travel company. and let's get their results.
Here, 40 cents per share adjusted against the street's expectations of 32 cents a share adjusted. Revenues coming in just shy of the street consensus. They were expecting 3.01 billion. And Expedia is reporting for the quarter 2.99 billion. Booked room nights come in just a little light at 107.7 million. The street was expecting 108.45 million.
Expedia beats on EPS, but it's down 5%. Affirm is dumping as well. This is another fintech. They are down 7%. That's what we have on Affirm right here. $50.68 was at 54. It was up 5% on the day. Now it's down about 6%. Let me try to get Affirm's numbers. That one's taking a bit of a hit right here. Okay, I'll get their numbers in a second. Right now we have Pinterest. Okay, Pinterest missed by 12% on EPS. That's a 23 cents versus 26 cents expected on Pinterest. That stock is up 12%. Market does not care. Pinterest doing its thing. Revenue 854 versus 846. That's a beat by 1%. So Pinterest missed on EPS by 12%. Looks like their guidance is strong enough to get this stock pumping. It was also down a ton going into the print, up 10% right here on Pinterest, which is not too bad for them. HubSpot's down about 1%. SoundHound's up 1.7. Dropbox is flat. Sweetgreens is flat. Paramount's down a little bit. Marathon's down about 0.4. Lyft is still up 5%. Coinbase, no numbers yet. Rocketlab's up 1.5. I don't have Rocketlab's numbers yet. They should be coming very soon. But Pinterest right here joining Trade Desk, both going up 9% currently right now. DraftKings tends to be a little bit later, around that 4:20, 4:30 time. So I don't think DraftKings is out yet. All right, here's Affirm. Wow, why did Affirm miss this badly? They missed on EPS by 97%. That is probably something to do with either a regulatory fine that they paid or taxes. There's no way that they actually missed that aggressively. They beat on revenue 783 versus 782, 1 cent versus 32 cents expected. That's why the stock's probably reacting the way that it's reacting, but not sure why they missed that badly. Grindr, that stock has reported they are down 6%. Grindr, 24.44 to 22.50. This stock is up from $12 last summer. Got to an all-time high of 24.40 basically today. Now down at 22.50. I'll try to get their numbers in a second as well. But Affirm with a 97% EPS miss. Looks like there's more to the story on why that one is down that much. Let's put up some coverage right here, and then I'll try to get the Rocketlab numbers, which should be out in a second. Here is Pinterest. Let's pull this up, and then we'll keep going from there.
Morgan, Pinterest revenue is beating expectations, $855 million ahead of estimates of $847 million. Earnings, though, falling short of expectations, 23 cents in adjusted earnings per share. That's short of the 26 cents that was estimated. The company did add 17 million monthly active users in the quarter. That's 5 million more than anticipated to end with 570 million monthly active users. The company's second quarter revenue guidance is for a range of 960 to 980 million. The midpoint of that is ahead of the 966 million analyst consensus. The company is also giving EBITDA profit guidance in a slightly larger range than it gave last quarter, certainly reflecting some of that uncertainty many companies are seeing here. And they say they will be giving more guidance on the earnings call.
All right, we got Rocketlab in 5 minutes. That was Pinterest. CleanSpark took it on the chin. Negative 49 cents versus negative 13 cents expected. That's a miss by 277%. Again, the Bitcoin miners just not being able to become profitable. Revenue, they missed by 3%, 181 versus 186 expected. EPS is down about 180% year over year. Revenue is up 63% year over year. But CleanSpark, not the best earnings. And that's probably also why Marathon is getting hit right now. Grindr down 11%. Looks like they had a bad miss. I don't have their numbers yet, but the stock was trading at all-time highs. If they didn't have the best numbers, they were probably going to get hit. This stock now down about 10% currently right now. Rocketlab is up a little bit, 23.30. Coinbase as well, don't have their numbers. Lyft is up 5%. Monster Energy down 5.3. Monster Energy down 5.3. That one's down. Let me check Celsius real quick. Celsius is down 1% as well based on this, or likely based on this. Monster right here down 5%. We'll try to get their numbers in a second. CleanSpark down 2%. Marathon is down about 1%. And then Toast is down 4.29%. Cloudflare don't have their numbers yet. SoundHound down 6.2%. Dropbox down 1%. And Sweetgreens down 4%. I haven't had Sweetgreens before. It's like a salad restaurant or fast food for salads. It's in New York a lot. I've never tried them, but they're down about 4% here right now. HubSpot as well, down about 2%. currently right now. Let's see if we can get Rocketlab in about 3 minutes. That's going to be a big one to look at. I think that's the next one everyone's looking at. Here is some coverage on Affirm's numbers, and maybe we can get some clarity on why they missed EPS by 97%.
Per share and beating estimates for a 3-cent loss. Revenue was in line at $783 million, up 36% from the year ago quarter. Now, gross merchandise volume, a key metric looking at the total value of transactions, hit $8.6 billion, also topping forecasts. One standout number here, 0% monthly installment loans grew 44%, a strong sign because these are merchant subsidized and attract higher quality borrowers. Credit quality, that held steady with pay in 4 losses below 1%. The company, though, issuing a weaker than expected forecast for the current quarter. It's guiding fourth quarter revenue in the range of $815 to $845 million, which is just below that average estimate of $841 million. Those shares down more than 10% now. Morgan?
All right, Mackenzie, thanks.
I think what we looked at on Affirm, that negative 0.32 expected was a bit too aggressive. Maybe that number was wrong because it looks like from my understanding, they beat on EPS, or if they missed, they slightly missed, not by 97%. So that one, we might have to get the more accurate numbers to take a look at that. But revenue, they definitely beat. EPS, they put up 1 cent. So, yeah, I think the street was expecting them to lose 3 cents. They put up 1 cent. So this is their first time, or one of their first 2 quarters being profitable. So stock might be down on something else besides the EPS estimates. Here's Transmedics right here. Revenue of 143 versus 124. That's a beat by 20 million. That's good. Non-GAAP EPS of 70 cents versus 24 cents. That's a nice beat, again, on EPS by about 200%. Raised revenue 2025 guidance to 565 to 585 million versus 540. That's a $45 million raise on full year 2025 revenues. So that one, not too bad at all for Transmedics. That stock right here after hours is up 10%. I mean, when you raise revenue by almost $100 million, that's probably what you're going to see right there. So Transmedics up about 8.3%. And then Affirm still down 10%. So I don't think 32 cents was the expectation for EPS, but it probably was a little bit higher than what they came in. And that's why it's down, or their guidance for Q2 is wrong, or just not the best. And I'll pull that up in a second. But I don't think they missed by 97%. That number probably is inaccurate. But whatever they showed on these earnings, the street is not necessarily happy with, down about 9% here right now. Rocketlab, this is the one we're looking for. It should be out in 1 minute, folks. This is the big one. This is the big one. Rocketlab, let's see what we get for Rocketlab. Is Coinbase dumping? Coinbase is dumping, down 3%. All right, you got Coinbase. That's taking a bit of a hit right there. There's your red candle, down 3.1. I'll get their numbers in a second, but Rocketlab's the main one that we are looking for now. And see what we have. Put in the chat if you own Rocketlab. Put in the chat if you own Rocketlab. This is the big one. This is the stock I own out of all these, or like the main one I own. And let's see what Peter Beck can show. I don't think they're expected to be profitable till the end of the year. So that would be a big surprise, but I'm not expecting them to be profitable here. Cloudflare's tanking as well. Yep, that one's down about 4% right here. Rocketlab Marathon, by the way, they missed EPS by 319%. Same thing with CleanSpark, missed by 200%. So the Bitcoin miners getting hit. Rocketlab, basically still flat after hours. SoundHound, they beat EPS by 444%, 31 cents versus 9 cents expected. And they missed revenue by $1 million. So SoundHound is down, but they beat EPS very nicely, and the company is now profitable. Rocketlab is down so far. We got a bit of a red candle right there, down about 1%. Let's see if that turns into a worse red candle, down 1.5. Rocketlab is taking a little dip down, 1.73. It's not an aggressive red candle. I think it needs a couple minutes to see if we hold that red. Coinbase also missed pretty badly. These earnings expectations are a bit ridiculous because why did they miss by 50%? So I have to check these numbers. But Coinbase missed on the top and the bottom. Rocketlab is down 3%. All right, it looks like she's falling. It looks like she's falling. It looks like today she is going to be falling here. There you go. There's your red candle, down 3.51% on Rocketlab. That one's taking it on the chin. Now down 4%. It's at 22.10. Waiting on the numbers. Let's see. Numbers probably aren't the best. Same thing like Coinbase. Rocketlab, negative 12 cents versus negative 12 cents expected. So they came in line on EPS. In terms of revenue, they beat by 1%. 122.5 versus 121.3. They beat by 1% on revenue. They came in line on EPS. EPS is down 30% year over year. Revenue is up 32% year over year. The stock is down 4%, 5.6% currently right now. I mean, it's not bad. It's also not amazing. These are not the types of results that could get this thing to pump 10, 15%. Let's go on their website and see some more specifics in their numbers. Look, they're not profitable yet. That's another thing that's holding back some of the institutional guys from really jumping in. They got to get profitable to attract some of these other investors. And it might take a couple quarters, but outside of that, it's not like they missed on EPS. They came in line. And then revenue, they beat by about 1%. DraftKings real quick, and then we'll go deeper into Rocketlab. DraftKings is down 2.4%. DraftKings also had a bit of a miss right here on revenue, 1%, and then they came in line with EPS. Very similar to Rocketlab, except they missed on revenue by about 1%. Rocketlab beat on revenue by about 1%. Affirm is down 9%, and then Coinbase right here is down 2.9% on the day. Marathon also missed by 400% on EPS. I don't know what's going on with the Bitcoin mining companies, but they are taking it on the chin right there, and that's why that stock's showing a little bit of weakness. Marathon right here down about 3%. CleanSpark is down about 5%. All right, let's get into Rocketlab's numbers. Let's get into Rocketlab's numbers and see what they are saying. Here we go. Sir Peter Beck says, Rocketlab has delivered a strong first quarter performance with wins across our launch and space systems divisions reflected in our nearly record $123 million in revenue at the top end of our guidance and a 32% increase year over year compared to Q1 2024. We also remain confident in our ability to execute and deliver on what's set to be another strong quarter with our Q2 revenue guidance in the 130 to 140 million range, which would reflect the underlying strength of our increasingly diverse business within the current political climate, showing the resilience of a vertically integrated end-to-end space company business model. Cool. Not bad. I mean, look, he sounds like he's not really concerned about tariffs. He's not using tariffs as an excuse for a bad guidance or a bad quarter. And it looks like the numbers are also not too bad. Second quarter, they expect 130 to 140 in revenue. GAAP gross margins 30 to 32%. Non-GAAP gross margins 34 to 36. Adjusted EBITDA 28 to 30. Expected interest income loss of 3.1. And then their shares outstanding, they expect to be about 514 million, which includes 51 million of Series A convertible shares that they issued about a year ago. Okay, I mean, this is not bad. This is not bad. It's not like amazing. It's not crazy. The street's not going to take it up 20%, but street doesn't need to take it down 20%. Rocketlab stock, let's see right here. This one bottomed at 15 in April. CleanSpark down about 3.5% right now. Rocketlab is down 3%. Yeah, this is a nothing burger. This is absolutely a nothing burger. This was at 22 yesterday. So I mean, right now the reaction is relatively minuscule and insignificant right here based on those numbers. Transmedics, that's up 9%. Coinbase is down 2%. CleanSpark again down 3.6%. Grinder was down 10%. Now it's down 6.3%. So that one recovering a little bit. DraftKings is basically flat. Trade Desk, great earnings. That's up 10.5%. Lyft is up 6%. Monster is down 3%. Coinbase down 2%. Rocketlab down 2%. Look at Rocketlab. It was down 6%. Now it's down 2%. So that one may be inching to go green. SoundHound down 2%. And then Cloudflare is also up 2% here right now. Pinterest also up about 5%. They beat on revenues. Lyft, looks like Lyft. Oh, we covered Lyft already. No, Lyft had a top and bottom beat. Lyft right here is up about 6%. Yeah, we looked at Lyft already right now. Let me get DraftKings numbers. Let me get the specifics on those, and then we'll keep going. Revenues up 20% year over year. EPS, slight miss, but still not too bad. And they have about 4.3 million monthly active users. Average revenue is about $108 from all of those users as well. So DraftKings, they turned profitable a couple quarters ago, and now they're continuing to stay profitable, which is not too bad for them. Rocketlab goes green. Does she go green? She goes green. Wow, look at that. 23.40. That's higher than it was during the day. That, I mean, you know, I don't think it needs to go up 10%. It definitely didn't need to go down 10%. Rocketlab right there, 1.3% fighting for a little bit more of that green. There you go. That's what we got on Rocketlab. SoundHound back to 950 as well. Coinbase, yes, we're going to get their numbers soon in a second. DraftKings, again, they beat on the top and the bottom with a very slight miss on revenue, but a beat on EPS. And looks like they are holding up right now. We looked at Expedia. We looked at Affirm. We looked at Lyft. We looked at Trade Desk. We're going to get a couple more numbers in just a second. But overall, I mean, today's not too bad, dude. Monster, I'm trying to get those numbers, but these earnings, there's not any dramatic outside of the Bitcoin miners. There's nothing dramatic. Crazy dramatic. Oh, we got Lutnick on CNBC. Okay, let's pull over to Lutnick for a second. I'm going to get some of these numbers and load them up, and then I will give you guys a bunch of earnings after like 2 minutes. So let me get a second, bring these up, and let's see what Lutnick has to say right now.
Want to do business with us? We want to work it out with them. So de-escalating, bringing those rates down to where they could be or they should be, I think is Scott Besant's goal. I think it's the Chinese delegation's goal as well. And that's what the president hopes is a good outcome, is a de-escalating world where we go back to trading with each other and then we work on a big deal together.
You're negotiating the other, 17 deals with trading partners right now. How much is China factoring?
Wait. How come I only got 17 deals?
Is it more?
I got like
more?
150 countries to
fair.
do.
Okay. So you're negotiating all of these other deals. How much is China factoring into those negotiations?
Less than you think.
All right, we'll get back to that in a second. Coinbase numbers. Here you go. We got the official Coinbase numbers. $2 billion in revenue, $66 million in net income, adjusted EBITDA $930 million, subscription revenue $700 million, and adjusted net income of $527 million. These are some pretty damn incredible numbers. I'm going to go to their website and try to get their trading volumes because that'll actually give us a better inclination of how they did. But the institutional trading volumes look to be pretty damn good, along with their retail side of the business, which makes them a little bit more money as well. So there you go. That's what we got on Coinbase. Again, very slight misses on the top and the bottom on Coinbase, but overall not doing too bad. Rocketlab now goes red again, down 1.2%. Coinbase right here is down 1%, basically a nothing burger for Coinbase or Rocketlab. Robinhood's flat after hours, Palantir's flat after hours, Bitcoin still above 101,000. Where is Nvidia? Nvidia is down about 0.25%. The big movers are Lyft, up 6, Trade Desk up 12, DraftKings now moving. Finally, there you go. DraftKings up 3.4, HubSpot's down 3, Cloudflare is up 4%, and then SoundHound's down 3. Nothing is really tanking after hours. Trade Desk is up 12%. Outside of the Bitcoin miners, down about 5%. And then Sweetgreens, I guess, is the biggest one that's losing, down 8% currently right now. Let me see if I can get Cloudflare's numbers as well. We haven't looked at that one yet. We are not listening to any calls. I will link Matt Money's channel for Rocketlab. You can go over to him at 5 p.m. We're just going to try to get through all these numbers, but we're not going to be listening to any calls. All right, Cloudflare, 479 million versus 473. That's a beat. That's up 27% year over year. EPS, they are losing 11 cents a share. That is better than expected. And GAAP net income is negative 38 million. This is a company probably in 2 quarters that is going to be profitable. Q2 2025 revenue guidance is 500 to 501 million. EPS, wow, they're estimating to be profitable in Q2. They're estimating to be profitable in Q2. There you go. 18 cents versus 17 cents. Full year revenue, they're estimating 2.0 to 2.095 billion. That's up 25% year over year. And they're assuming to make 80 cents a share for fiscal year 2025. That stock is also up 4% here right now. Okay, cool. Not bad. Let's see some of the other numbers. We covered Trade Desk already, so you might have to rewind to get those numbers, but we looked at those numbers. They were really good. They beat on the top and the bottom. On EPS, they beat by 60%. That's why Trade Desk is up 13%. Granted, Trade Desk is down 70% year to date, but still, any numbers that were relatively decent, the stock probably was going to take off on. Trade Desk right here, advertising technology, 6750. Also, AppLovin had a great day, and AppLovin and Trade Desk, they're not exactly in the same business, but they're part of that same sector when it comes to digital advertising. They were up 11% today as well. So both of these companies are really getting some momentum, even though Google, which is the big one, got hit over the past couple of days. Where is Pinterest? Pinterest as well. We looked at their numbers. They beat on the top and the bottom, all-time high in users. Pinterest up 11.6%, 12.2% now. This one not doing too bad. Let me get some more numbers. We'll go back to Lutnick, and then we'll keep going from there.
Our job is not to try to single out China, not to do this and that with respect to China. Our job is let's go get free and fair and open trade with all these different countries. We are not focused. We're focused on China with China, but with respect to other countries, we want fair trade. We want reasonable trade. If a country is doing enormous amounts of business with China, then that portion of their business should have the same tariff as China. But if they're doing business on their own and their own things, like Indonesia, right? I meet the trade minister of Indonesia, and he says, we're the largest car manufacturer in the world. And you'd say, really? Indonesia? He says, yes, we make Matchbox cars, right? So, you know, that's fine. So what do we want? We want a low tariff on those kind of products, right? And a higher tariff on products that make a difference to us, semiconductors, pharmaceuticals, you know, things that matter that we want to reshore. We want to do that smart. I think you saw a lot of smart in today's deal. And I think what you're going to see is Donald Trump is going to deliver incredibly smart, thoughtful, and rigorous trade deals that are going to be great for America. Remember, if we have a $1.2 trillion trade deficit and we cut that 25%, only 25%, that means we export another $300 billion. That's 1 point of GDP produced by the guy who sits behind me in that White House. 1 point of GDP just by him. And then if you start building those factories that he's talked about, that's another 2 points of GDP. That's 3 points a year driven by the guy in the Oval Office. Is pretty cool.
All right, let's look at some other earnings that we have. Wolfspeed, they lost 72 cents a share versus 82 cents expected. That's a beat by 12%. Revenue 185.4 versus 185.7. This stock is, I believe, down after hours. They're down 4%. So beat on the top, miss on the bottom by Wolfspeed. Serve Robotics, let me try to get their numbers. That stock right here is down 5%. Looks like we had something that wasn't the best on Serve Robotics. So let's pull that up. We also have Texas Roadhouse that I'll look at in a second. Serve. Okay, Q1 EPS 23 cents versus 15 cents expected. That's a beat on Serve Robotics, at least on the top line, which is not too bad. That stock right here down about 5.4%. Revenue 440 versus 486. Okay, so they missed on revenue by about 40 million. They missed by 40 million on revenue. They beat on EPS by about they missed on EPS too. They missed on so they lost 23 cents. The street thought they would lose 15 cents. That's down 8 cents. And then on revenue, they missed by 40 million. So it's a double miss on Serve Robotics. That's why that stock is down about 8% here right now. Where is Affirm? We did Marathon. Marathon missed on EPS by like 400%. That's why that one's getting hit. Same thing with CleanSpark. They missed by 200%. Affirm still down 7%. Let me pull up Affirm's numbers. That one's confusing to me. I'm like, I don't understand why Affirm is getting hit this bad, especially when they beat on revenue. Let's pull up their numbers and see what we have there. Let's pull this up and let's see what they got. Coinbase as well. Yeah, Coinbase had good numbers, but I mean, look, Coinbase really, they don't really move on earnings ever, even if their IV is high and their premiums are great. They're down 3% right here, but Coinbase, you know, is up 5% on the day. If Bitcoin were to tank, it would tank. If Bitcoin goes up, it goes up. So this one is really kind of like MicroStrategy. It's less about earnings. It's more so about just where is Bitcoin currently right now as the company continues to diversify. Trade Desk really is the one that's moving 14% on Trade Desk. That one's getting a lot of love right here. And that one is getting some more momentum. Let me see Affirm's numbers. Let me pull this up. Right here, 2025. Here is the earnings deck. All right. So this is Affirm. Affirm's guidance is why it dropped. Yeah, that's what it seems like. That's what it seems like. So 36% year-over-year GMV growth, 21.9 million active consumers, 23% up year-over-year. Transactions per consumer, 5. That's up 19%. And then revenue is up, 36% year-over-year. That's not a small level of growth for a fintech, dude. 36% year-over-year growth is pretty incredible for a buy now, pay later company. We looked at some of those highlights. It looks like guidance is the issue right here. Active consumers, again, over 20 million people in a competitive environment that use Affirm to buy now, pay later over everything else. OpEx is relatively down. Sales and marketing is down. G&A is down. So all that is looking good year over year. They are now profitable for the, first quarter ever. Look at that, 15 million. 15 million. They got to make some profit. So Affirm right here, not doing too bad. Rocketlab announces intention to expand into Europe. All right, so that's a headline we're getting on Rocketlab. I'm sure they'll say a lot more on the call. Rocketlab right here, that's down 2.2%. Affirm is still getting hit currently right now. Rumble also has earnings. Let me check them and Texas Roadhouse. Rumble is up 2.3. Actually, no, it's flat. It was up 2.3 during the day. Texas Roadhouse, this is a company, it's a restaurant that sells steaks and chicken and ribs and all that stuff. They're up 1.42% after hours as well. Okay, let me see if I can get some more of these numbers and get it right here. Oh, we got the Coinbase CFO. Okay, let's see what the Coinbase CFO has to say. She's on right here. Let's get a couple of the earnings reports. This is Coinbase earnings, and then we'll listen to the CFO and get some of their thoughts as well.
Coinbase earnings are out, and Tanea McKeel has the numbers for us. Hi, Tanea.
Hey, Morgan. Yeah, Coinbase reporting revenue of $2.03 billion for the quarter. That's a slight miss. The street was looking for $2.12 billion. Earnings per share coming in at $1.94 per share, but that is on an adjusted basis, so we're not comparing those numbers. Analysts usually use the GAAP figure. Adjusted EBITDA as well, $930 million, but no consensus available there. Looking at Q2 guidance, Morgan, Coinbase is reporting more than $240 million in transaction revenue for April. Spot transaction volume down about 12% month over month in April, as obviously macro concerns and a lack of catalysts that were specific to crypto kind of dented sentiment for much of the quarter. And then in subscriptions and services, expecting revenue to be between $600 million and $680 million. That'll be driven by nice growth in stablecoins, which should offset a decline in staking rewards. Morgan?
Okay. Tanea, thank you.
Okay, those are the Coinbase results. We'll hear from the CFO in a bit. Let me check some other numbers that I haven't looked at yet. So Innodata, I don't see their numbers anywhere. If anyone has it, you can let me know, but I don't see their numbers anywhere. This is a very small company, $1 billion market cap, so a little hard to get their numbers, but I don't have those numbers yet. Again, Rocketlab, basically flat. We're not getting any real movement. I mean, it's down 3%, but you know, it was at 22.48 yesterday, so nothing too crazy right there. Transmedics, that's up a little bit. Pinterest is up 12%. Affirm still not recovering. It looks like even with 20 million active users, 36% revenue growth, and transactions per customer growing 24%. It's not enough. This stock right here down 8%. Looks like Q2 is a little bit light. Now, remember, Affirm makes money off transactions. If we think there is demand slowing down in the economy because of tariffs increasing prices, which would decrease demand, that would not be the best for some of the payment processors like a PayPal, like an Affirm. So Affirm right here down 7.9%. That might be the reason that they issued a lower Q2 guidance. Okay, what else do we have? Texas Roadhouse, again, I don't have their numbers, but that one is flat. Actually, that one's up 1.42%. Let me see if I can find some of their numbers. And let's look at a couple other stocks that we haven't seen. We didn't look at Monster Energy Drink either. Trying to find that one. And then let's see if we can get Texas Roadhouse. HubSpot, we looked at HubSpot. Revenue's up 16% year over year, 714 million versus 699. That's a beat. And then EPS 178 versus 177. That's a beat. So they beat on the top and the bottom. HubSpot right here, I think it was basically like 3 or 4% down. HubSpot, never mind, 7% down. Looks like guidance again is the issue there. Serve Robotics, they missed on EPS, beat on revenue. They're down about 4.8%. Wolfspeed, that's down 1.8. Rumble, don't have their numbers, but they're down about 0.26. And then Rocketlab right here is down 4% right now. Ethereum is still pumping, which is incredible, dude. Ethereum, what a day for Ethereum. Even Bitcoin still making some action. 2,100 on Ethereum, and then Bitcoin is almost at 102, 101.7, which is great for a lot of the crypto proxies. Now, SoundHound, remember, this company, they had a great EPS beat. The street thought they would lose 1 cent. They came in with, they thought they would lose 30 cents. They came in with 1 cent expected, so they're now profitable. They missed slightly on revenue. They're down 5.2%. This company is still a $4 billion company with like, I think 200 million in revenues, a little bit less than that. So, you know, it's one of those names where the multiple's pretty aggressive. And if you're paying that multiple, you believe there's some broader picture for SoundHound in the future. NVIDIA did invest in them a couple quarters ago. I think they liquidated their stake 2 quarters ago. So NVIDIA does not have an investment in them anymore, but they're an AI sound programming company. I believe they like when you pull up to a Wendy's and like you talk to the thing in the drive-thru, that's SoundHound's technology. Or sorry, it's Taco Bell. I think that's the partnership they had. So it's definitely an important company. Is it worth $4 billion? I don't know. But this one right here, down about 4.7%. They are now profitable, which is a good thing. HubSpot right here down 5. Coinbase down 2.9. Serve Robotics down 4. And then you got NVIDIA right here down about 0.14 after hours. Let's go to the Coinbase CFO. She hear what she has to say, and then we'll keep going from there.
Space and what that means in terms of engagement and activity on the platform.
Thanks for having me today. Well, what we're seeing today is that we're gaining market share. We're gaining market share in spot and derivative trading. We had over $800 billion in global derivatives trading in the quarter, and our average perps market share increased 60%. We are scaling internationally and really leveraging our international playbook to grow in high growth markets.
Okay, cool. Another CFO that is reading off of a PowerPoint. All right, so we're not going to get anything from Coinbase CFO. We got Grindr earnings. Let's see what we got from Grindr. I think sometimes these CFOs, bro, they need to be more natural. Like, just like that's not just reading off the PowerPoint and saying we raised. Like, it's like you gotta get people's attention and actually care. So those interviews to me are pointless. I mean, if we could read off the PowerPoint ourselves, they're not really going to get anything there. Grindr earnings. Here we go. 25% year-over-year revenue growth. They're raising fiscal year 2025 guidance to 26% of greater revenue growth and 43% adjusted EBITDA margins as well. Here we go. Grindr CEO says, we're off to a fantastic start in 2025, delivering strong results and raising our outlook for the year. We've begun early testing of our AI-powered premium experience, expanded right now in soft beta launch, the first product within our Gayborhood expansion vision. This is the biggest year of product innovation in our history, and the team is executing at an exceptional level. If you don't know what the Gayborhood is, it is their version of the neighborhood, except it's a Gayborhood. And that is the way for people to meet other people on Grindr. This stock was down 11%. Now it's down 7%. They raised guidance. Which is not too bad. Let me see if I can get their specific numbers right here. Net income, they are now profitable, 27 million versus 9.4 million last time. So this is a profitable company. It's not unprofitable. Revenue was 93 million. Dude, that's not crazy, bro. For a dating app to pull in $100 million of revenue, that's up again 28% year over year. And then their adjusted EBITDA margins are also up 43%. That's better than some tech companies, to be honest. So not a horrible earnings, even though that one is down about 7%. All right, Sweetgreen. Sweetgreen, let's see what we've got going there. This is a salad company. They are down 7.65%. Let me pull up their website and see what we've got from Sweetgreen. And then we will go from there. The Gayborhood. I remember reading that the first time I was doing due diligence on them a year ago. They were like, we have this new AI product. It's called the Gayborhood. I was like, all right, guys. I think you guys are cheap at $12, but still, that's a pretty interesting name. All right, here we go. Sweetgreens. Total revenue, 166 million versus 157. That's up 5% year over year. This is not a growth company. 5% year over year. This is not a growth company. Same store sales of 3.1%. That's also not a lot of good growth. Average order or average UEV was 2.9 million. That's up, or that's consistent. Digital revenue percentage was 59.9%. Loss from operations was 28.5 million. They are not profitable yet. Net loss was 25 million, and their net loss margin was 15.1%. CFO or CEO says, Sweetgreen's first quarter results demonstrate the strength and adaptability of our operating model. In the face of a challenging industry landscape, we stay true to our mission, driving innovation and elevating the guest experience. We believe the strength of our brand, our deep focus on the customer, our commitment to delivering a meaningful value proposition positions Sweetgreen well to navigate the current environment. Okay, Sweetgreen. Nothing crazy there. There's nothing crazy there. So, yeah, I mean, dude, if you're going to buy a fast food company, I mean, Sweetgreen is a cool idea with salads and stuff, but 5% year-over-year growth is just like, you could buy Shake Shack or Kava or so many of these other names that are growing at way higher percentages. Wow, Bitcoin above 102. There she goes. Above 102. Boom. Above 102. There it is. That's what you got on Bitcoin. 102.19 currently right now. That came out of nowhere. Where's Robinhood after hours? Robinhood is up 1% after hours. Coinbase still down 2.5% on their earnings, but this is really good for them with Bitcoin. And then MicroStrategy up another 1% after hours. MicroStrategy closing in on 420 currently right now. This is not bad. It is not bad at all from Bitcoin. Let's go back to Lutnick real quick. I think he has like a minute left, and then we will keep going from there.
Had a delegation to Auschwitz, right, for the anniversary, for the 80th anniversary of freeing Auschwitz. And the Polish prime minister came up to me and said, what have I done that we would be tier 3 for semiconductor chips? And I was like, I couldn't think of anything that Poland had ever done to us that they would treat them that badly. So what we're going to do is we're going to treat our allies incredibly well. They can buy our chips, but they have to do it in a data center that's operated by an approved American data center operator, someone we trust, and that is connected to a cloud of someone we trust. So trusted data center operator, trusted cloud provider, And that will allow us to really free all our allies to buy chips. And the key last part of that idea, and this is what we're kicking around, and this is where we're leaning, is we want 50% of all of the greatest chips in the world domestic. 50% outside, 50% in America. So America always has the firepower to drive AI domestically. So we'll let all these countries buy if they do it correctly, but they got to also invest here to make sure we have the firepower always in America. That's the right thinking. That's the way we're thinking about it at the Department of Commerce.
Interesting, especially since AI is not only an economic issue and a technological issue, but also a national security one increasingly. Finally, Secretary Lutnick, I have to ask you about the reporting that has broken in the past hour or so that the president is considering raising the tax rate on the highest earners. Are you in favor of that?
I am. You know, if the president's cool with it, I am definitely cool with it. I think the idea...
Dude, to be honest, they have no choice. They've got to pay for all these tax cuts on corporations somehow. So I mean, if you're making a lot of money in the country, you're probably going to have to pay a little bit more. There's going to be no way they can do this purely through growth and supply side economics. You're just going to have to pay a little bit more. It looks like they're going from 37% to 39.6% if you make more than 2.5 million in the United States.
Of rolling back the discount that he gave. Remember, in 2017, he cut the rate from 39.6 to 37. And if he wants to try to go back to 39.6 and take that money and redirect it to no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, and no tax on Social Security, I am all on board for that. Remember, the politics of all this is really in the president's hands. He knows it better than anybody else. But if you want to know what my support is, I stand right behind them on that thought. That sounds like an excellent thing for the country. But again, that politics is all about Donald Trump. I'll leave that to him.
Okay. Commerce.
This is why owning a business in the United States of America is the cheat code. If you are an individual earner making $2.5 million a year, you're going to have to pay that 40% tax. If you have a LLC or a C Corp or an S Corp that you can run the money through and pay yourself a smaller salary, your corporation is going to have to pay significantly less than 39.6% because America is very friendly to businesses. So it looks like if they want to extend the 2017 Tax Cut and Jobs Act, you're going to have to get some people to pay a little bit more, especially if you want to have no tax on tips and overtime and all that stuff. And it looks like it's going to be some of the more wealthier people in the country. Bitcoin right here, 102.2. 102.2. I mean, she's not slowing down either. Who do you think is buying Bitcoin? Because if you look at the search volume on Google for Bitcoin, speaking of Google, it's not anywhere near where it was last March or even in January when we were at 109,000. So I don't think this is retail, folks. I mean, it doesn't feel like it's retail. The Robinhood's not number one on the App Store. Coinbase is barely in the top 50. Like, I mean, if we're really not getting retail buying this, maybe you've got hedge funds, institutions, sovereign wealth funds, all these guys that are getting excited. Maybe they're using it as a hedge against money printing in the United States. They're afraid that Trump's going to keep printing money and that the dollar is going to be debased. And maybe you've got actual big money coming into Bitcoin right here. It's definitely not just MicroStrategy. It's not the ETFs. It's not just retail. I think the answer is bigger money. I feel like it has to be bigger money. We got money market inflow data. Put in the chat what you think, increase or decrease. This is a big number, especially from the past couple of weeks. This is a big number on money market funds that I'm looking at right now. Did not expect it to be this big. That's what she said. But this money market fund data, here we go, folks. It is 37 billion of an increase. 37 billion of an increase. I didn't expect it to increase. I didn't. I really didn't. I thought people would take money out of money market funds this week. It looks like it went back in. 6.95 trillion on the sidelines. 37 billion entered into those money market funds. You know what that is? That's people saying, we don't think J Powell is going to cut. Because if you thought J Powell was going to cut, you definitely would have taken some money out because you don't want to lose 25 bips in interest. If you think he's not going to cut, you're like, you know what? I want to be safe. We're getting to fear and greed in the broader stock market. That tends to be a moment where people de-risk a little bit, take some profits, sell some covered calls, right? Take some off the table. Maybe you had people this week take some profits, throw it into money market funds and just say, I'm going to wait until we get some first trade deals established, and then we can go further to put money back to use. But that's what you got right now. So again, more money continues to be on the sidelines waiting for a home, which hopefully eventually it'll be deployed in. All right, what other companies have we not looked at? What other companies have we not looked at? I think we looked at the majority of them. Let's take a look at all these earnings today. SoundHound down 5, Dropbox down 2, Cloudflare down 5, HubSpot down 5, Toast up 3, Pinterest up 15. My goodness. Dude, who uses Pinterest? I don't use this thing anymore. I mean, I don't think I've ever used it. I know that middle-aged women tend to be the sort of prime demographic. Like my mom loves using Pinterest. So there is definitely a base of people that use this thing. And they have an all-time high in monthly actives. Paramount, we didn't look at them. I'll try to get their numbers. They're flat after hours. Marathon is down 2%. DraftKings is up 2%. Trade Desk up 12%. Great numbers. CleanSpark down 2%. Lyft is up 7%. Monster down 2%. Coinbase down 2.5%. And then Rocketlab is down 5%. Rocketlab now below $22 on Rocketlab. Plan a wedding and you will use Pinterest. Okay, that's a good point. That's a good point. There's definitely some core use cases for Pinterest that I would say is out there. I don't know why Rocketlab's down 5%. If anyone has a theory, let me know. I mean, I think it's relatively inconsequential. It looks like it was a good quarter. We'll get a lot more feedback from Sir Peter Beck on the call, but they're growing 30%. They raised guidance for Q2. They're not profitable yet. I think in the next couple quarters, they're going to be profitable. So the street kind of knows where the story is going. Wasn't a blowout quarter, but also wasn't a horrible quarter, I would say, to get too kind of scared. Let's go back to the Coinbase CFO. Let's see if we have anything good out of her that we can get from like crypto volumes and the overall business on Coinbase, and then we'll keep going from there.
And the second question is, how are you navigating the stablecoin ecosystem, especially given the fact that the Senate failed to advance that stablecoin bill just earlier today?
All right, 2 great questions. Yep, we saw Bitcoin hit back over 100,000 again. And what we see is investors are approaching this in a different and positive way. The diversification of investors in Bitcoin now, where you see the US setting up a Bitcoin strategic reserve fund, where you see international countries, sovereign entities thinking about holding Bitcoin as a store of value asset. More institutional investors are holding Bitcoin, corporates are holding it on their balance sheet. So it's looking different than it had from a speculative asset in the past. Now it is looking like gold. It is looking like a counter-cyclical asset that we saw in the recent drawdown.
Trump just tweeted. All right, so Coinbase CFO basically saying Bitcoin above 100,000. It looks like institutions are getting in there because it is a counter-cyclical asset and it is an asset you can use to potentially hedge. I think that's kind of what's happening, dude. I do not think this is retail getting it above 100,000. Here's what Trump just said. Talks with Russia, Ukraine continue. The U.S. calls for ideally a 30-day unconditional ceasefire. Hopefully, an acceptable ceasefire will be observed and both countries will be held accountable for respecting the sanctity of these direct negotiations. If the ceasefire is not respected, the U.S. and its partners will impose further sanctions. Thousands of young soldiers are dying on a weekly basis, and everybody should want it to stop. I do, and the United States of America does as well. As president, I will stay committed to securing peace between Russia and Ukraine together with the Europeans, and a lasting peace it will be. This ceasefire must ultimately build towards a peace agreement. It can be done very quickly, and I will be available on a moment's notice if my services are needed. Thank you for your attention to this matter. So you got Trump saying, hopefully Ukraine-Russia peace is coming soon. We did officially sign the minerals deal today. That was also signed this morning. Rocketlab, by the way, getting hit down 7% now. But that was another big catalyst that I think the market was happy about, that that minerals deal is signed, and now the hopeful beginning of a framework and a path towards peace with Russia and Ukraine is on the way. So that's what you got there from Trump's tweet. Rocketlab down 7%. Street's not loving it. Street is not loving it. Cloudflare is up 5. HubSpot's down 5. Where's Grindr? It was down 7. Grindr is down 8, 22.40 on Grindr, 24.45 during the day. Coinbase down 3. Robinhood's up 0.43 after hours. Bitcoin still 102.3. We haven't had a Bitcoin at 102.3 since January 28th, around that January 25th to 28th time period. So end of January was the last time we saw Bitcoin even get close to these levels. And now it looks like maybe we have a chance to stay above it. We also got a new pope today. For anyone that didn't know, we got a new pope today. He is an American. He is a registered Republican as well. And yeah, we have a new pope. So that is also a big update we got today. Trump issued a congratulations to him as well. So did JD Vance. You can see right here on the screen. And we are entering a new era with a brand new pope who is an American. Also, he graduated Villanova. And so Jalen Brunson on the Knicks graduated Villanova. I mean, like, Villanova graduates this week have had pretty good week compared to their competitive aspirations, either in sports or for becoming the new pope. And that's what you got there. Coinbase right here down about 3.2%. Robinhood up 0.53. Bitcoin 102.345. Currently right now. Okay, what else do we have? An investment in AK Media is safe from a tariff. It's more valuable than gold. Dude, you guys, I wonder when the AK Media jokes are going to stop. Because, like, eventually you guys will get tired of it. Like, I know you guys will. You haven't yet, but you're going to get tired at some point. But every day you come up with a new way to make the joke, which I think is pretty funny. AK Media will acquire the Gayborhood. It is. You guys are creative. I'll say that. You guys are creative. Monster, I want to try to get Monster's revenue growth and their earnings. Okay, revenue 1.85 billion on Monster. EPS 47 cents. Net income 443 million. Operating income 570. Revenue 1.85 billion. This is not a growth stock anymore. They are growing negative 2% year over year. Net income is 0% year over year. That's flat. They have a great brand. This is one of the best performing stocks ever. I think Monster Energy is the best performing stock ever, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, it's up 75,000% all time. This is more than Nvidia, more than Tesla. Monster is the best performing stock in the history of the stock market, but they're not growing anymore. So definitely not a growth stock at this point anymore. Mitt, were you the first CEO on Dumb Money? I did go on Dumb Money today. Shout out to Eddie. Right there in the chat, Eddie messaged me about Dumb Money talking about me, and he was like, "Hey, they want to know if you're free right now." It was literally right after the market open ended, and I was like, I was gonna go do something, but yeah, I am free. So shout out to Eddie right there in the chat. He let me know, and then I hopped onto the show. I have a clip from that I'll show you guys in a second. We can look at that. But they also referred to me as the CEO of AK Media. I was like, goodness gracious, dude. This thing is not, it's not dying out. 102.4 on Bitcoin. She keeps moving. She hit 102.5 about basically 30 seconds ago. Rocketlab down 4%. That was down 7. Rumble's up 1.3. Serve Robotics down 4. Wolf Speed is down 9. InnoData, by the way, don't have their numbers, but they're down 7%. So that one's getting a bit of a hit. And then DraftKings up 2.69% currently right now. Yeah, shout out to Joseph Carlson. He mentioned me on the video yesterday as well. He's super awesome. Again, retail kind of sticking together, and he made a great pick on Netflix. I had Palantir, and retail went against the big boys, and it's not been too bad. So shout out to Joseph Carlson. All right, here is that clip from Dumb Money. I was giving Chris Camillo his flowers about Palantir because he was one of the only people, if you watch that podcast on my channel, it has like 70,000 views back in September, that was saying, hey, Palantir at 35 is cheap. And look, I'm a Palantir bull, but at 35, the valuation was still up there. And now we've come to the conclusion that valuation matters for Palantir, but it doesn't matter as much as it matters for some other companies because Palantir is Palantir. It's a different type of company. It's a unicorn. There's a lot of qualitative elements to justify the way people think of buying the stock. And Camillo at the time did not care. All he cared about was, hey, I want to get more exposure to Palantir. So here's that clip from Dumb Money earlier today. I think the only person, maybe there's a handful of them that has been saying it's going to keep going higher and hasn't been as cautious as I've been, is you. And you just said, you know what, forget everything, forget the valuation. I saw the video that all three of you did, and Dave and Jordan were pushing back as they should have on the valuation. Also, they're super bearish Google. Chris Camillo, I'll play that in a second, but he is super bearish Google. Jordan on the bottom right, he's a bit more bullish, but we'll walk through his bear case as well when it comes to Google. And you were like, nope, this is just, it is what it is. It's Palantir.
So I was talking to Chris about this yesterday because I was one of the people that thought the valuation was nuts. But I think what makes sense about it is that there's no public market for companies like this yet.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's like your only outlet to be able to invest in AI.
Let me tell you something. The most common comment that I got sent to me, I think even on that video, were Palantir investors that were ripping on me because I was so late to the show.
Yep.
They thought me buying Palantir, I think I actually started buying it at 28 and then to 33 or 34, like between the upper 20s to low 30s. And they thought that I was so late.
Bitcoin trying to go for 103. It's at 102.7 right now. I'm looking at the ETF data from yesterday. There was 142 million of ETF inflows. Guys, this is not retail. This is just not retail. I mean, in March 2024, this number would be like 1 billion if Bitcoin was at 102,000. So I do not think these are retail investors just buying the ETFs. I think there's some sovereign wealth funds and some institutions coming into this, and that's why we're seeing the Bitcoin pump that we are currently witnessing here right now.
And by the way, I was not just buying Palantir. I was layering in massive call options on Palantir at that price. And they were like, this is insane. This is toppy. This is like, you missed the ride, man. We've been on this ride for 8. I'm like, and I kept explaining to them, I was like, no. I've been trading NVIDIA while you were trading. Like, I've been doing fine. Like, my cost of capital is extraordinarily high. But like now is when I want to play Palantir because I see the next lift happening as we get a broadening of awareness of what's happening at Palantir beyond the Omits and the small circles of the believers. It's about to transfer to a broader a world of retail investors and institutional capital markets who have always been skeptical of Palantir because of their CEO. But at a certain point, you can't be skeptical anymore. And I saw them like crossing over, right?
We did our podcast 2 weeks before they got included in the S&P 500.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to give him some credit. Chris Camillo did not care at all about the valuation. He just said, you know what? He thinks it's a unicorn and it's going to go higher. Now, he did go on to say that he sold a decent chunk of his position. So he has a reasonable position, but it's nothing like what he had before. He sold all of his calls, etc. But still, at 35, he was definitely not late to the story. Bitcoin right here at 102.4. Not bad. The Rocketlab call, I think, is starting at 5. Is it starting at 5? Let me check. If it's starting at 5, I will put the link for Matt Money's channel, and you guys can go over there and listen to it. He's just going to give you guys way better analysis on this company as they listen to the call. 5 p.m. All right, so here we go. If for anyone who wants to actually listen to the earnings call itself and get some analysis by the Rocketlab crew, there is the link right there. You can go to Matt Money stream, and you'll be able to listen to Mr. Sir Peter Beck. There you go. Is Hood getting into the S&P 500 this year? I think so, dude. It would be a crime if they don't get into the S&P 500 this year. So I'm pretty sure it's going to happen. I think it's coming up in June, right? They announced it June 5th, around that time. So we should know pretty soon. And if not June, then September they announce it again. And if they don't get it in September, it's going to be... The fact that Williams-Sonoma, let's look at that stock. We haven't even looked at that stock. Williams-Sonoma, that sells freaking espresso machines from China, is in the S&P 500, but Robinhood isn't, is ridiculous. Williams-Sonoma's market cap is at $19.78 billion. That is lower than the $21 billion threshold of a market cap you need to have to be in the S&P 500. But they were at like $22 billion when they got included, so now it doesn't matter. It's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous. So I am pretty sure the committee will not fade Robinhood this time, but they might. You never know. You never know. And if they fade them for a Coinbase or a Trade Desk or a DoorDash, it's whatever. But if you fade them for Williams-Sonoma, I think we got some issues.
Related to trade, but taxes, Eamon.
Yeah, that's right, Scott. There was this report earlier from Punchbowl News that the president had been speaking to Speaker Johnson and encouraging him to raise the highest tax rate in this new tax bill that they're working on. Now some confirmation here from a source familiar with the president's thinking to CNBC, saying that the president is considering allowing the rate on individuals making $2.5 million or more to revert from 37% to the pre-2017 rate of 39.6%. They're saying this will help pay for massive middle and working class tax cuts and protect Medicaid. But the headline here, Scott, will be that the president is now arguing in favor raising that top tax rate, at least for people over $2.5 million. And that is an unusual thing for a Republican office holder to do. In this populist conservative economic era, though, it's not unusual. This is a new Republican Party.
They need the money. They need the money. You cannot just do trickle-down economics and pay for everything we're paying for. You need some more money. So it looks like if you make $2.5 million a year, you're going to have to pay about 40 cents on every dollar when it comes to tax. Not literally on every dollar, because it's like there's a bracket towards it's not literally off the 2.5 million, but you guys know my point. They're going to have to pay some more money. David Rawson, thank you for becoming a channel member. Thank you for being here, Mr. David Rawson. And thank you for joining the channel and becoming a channel member. Need to get you some new clothing. Thank you, David. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. You know, my plan. So I just I signed the lease on the apartment, guys. So it's like official. 12 months. I'm locked in. August 2025 to August 2026. I will be paying rent officially in a new apartment. And I personally would like to get a new wardrobe, a new style. Like, I'm thinking of doing everything new going into the summer. So I will definitely be investing in some new clothing. I don't know. I'm still trying to figure out. I'm 27 years old and I don't have a style. My style is a shirt and a hat. Like, I don't have a style. My style is freaking Adidas. Like I don't have a style. I need a style. I want to literally legit consult with a stylist and be like, so what is my style? What should I look like? Like, what should I wear? Because I don't know. And I'm horrible at dressing. I suck at it. So it's just like, I actually would like some real consultation and kind of find a way to figure out what to do. We're not going to have Saratoga water in the apartment. You guys will blame me every day the market's red. That is because of the Saratoga. So we're not going to do that. But the lease is signed, bro. It's officially signed. We're in. So we are committed for the next year. And August, we will officially be moving out. All right, here's what Camillo had to say about Googs. I thought his point was pretty interesting here. He's pretty damn bearish, and I'm curious what you guys have to think about what he said as well.
Really strong thesis that Google's search revenue, this goes back 2 years, that their search revenue is going to completely collapse. I believe that they end up losing anywhere between 25 and 50% of their traffic, their search traffic, and I believe that the value of shopping integrations, advertising integrations into large language models is going to be monetized at a meaningfully lower rate than traditional search marketing. So I think overall, they could, their search revenue, which is about 85% of their revenue, I believe, could get cut by about 50%, even if they are integrating it into Gemini over the long term. And I think that could be absolutely devastating for Google over the next few years. Ironically, I believe that Google is actually going to be potentially one of the largest AI powerhouses if we look out 10 years, 10 or 15 years. So I'm at odds, but I think short term, there's massive risk that's being overlooked in the market. I think that earnings call they just had was confusing because of the $8 billion Starlink gain that they had. We've seen this stuff in the past with Amazon and Rivian, and it's just shocking to me that the market doesn't, focus more on those one-time gains. I'm seeing the cracks, guys.
Yeah, I see the cracks too, but I'm more focusing on the latter half of your argument there, that I think that they are one of the biggest players in the future of AI. And so I bought the dip yesterday.
Jordan.
So when you see it get flushed out 10% because of a big search revenue hit, you buy the dip. I bought it.
Well, you got lucky because the market.
You could have also bought the dip 3 months ago, and we're down 25% from there.
But Jordan, they are not productizing their language model or hardly at all.
And I think that this gives all the other.
It is so funny to listen to Chris Camillo at 1.7x speed because he's not this fast. He's usually a lot slower. And you guys make a good point in the chat. My style is very similar to these three guys, which is a t-shirt and a hat. So I don't know. I guess in the investor community, that's the style. You wear a t-shirt and a hat because I mean, they're not dressed in any particular way. The only person I know who has like real crazy style is Dan Ives on Wall Street. Everyone else, I guess, yeah, they just wear a basic t-shirt.
LLMs. The opportunity to figure out monetizing it before Google. Remember back in the day when Yahoo was around and Google figured out how to monetize faster than Yahoo, and now does Yahoo even exist? I feel like we're entering the era where Google could lose.
They could, yeah, I agree, but I still bought it. I mean, look, they're not. I have to believe that they have enough people there that are watching what's going on everywhere else. They've got the engineers, right? So the engineering talent is there.
You're speaking like an engineer right now, dude.
But they also have the business talent to figure out what's going on.
They don't.
You have to believe in Google long term.
No, they don't. They don't have the business talent. They don't have the marketing talent because they basically
they have the eyeballs though. Still for now.
No, they don't. No, they don't. ChatGPT has 80% of the global market. 80%. literally 80%. And Google doesn't have the other 20%. The other 20% is split between
I'm not saying
Gemini.
I'm not saying for specifically LLMs, but they still have visibility.
Yeah,
They
and
have
They're a brand name. They've got visibility.
they are still, for many people, the default when
Right.
you're looking for something. It's rapidly shifting to people using LLMs.
Right.
But that's not going to go to zero overnight. But I do see it
Oh my God.
as a huge risk for Google, and that's why
I
I'm
agree.
buying
I
at these
agree.
levels.
But Jordan,
I agree with everything you're saying. So I don't you don't
Okay.
have to convince me. I agree 100%.
Okay, but
I
what do
see
you
a
think?
path
What do we think
forward.
Amit, what do you think the market is going to do when the first quarter happens? It could be this next quarter for Google, by the way, when their advertising revenue actually starts to they actually start to lose. Could you even imagine what Wall Street's going to do to that stock? That's why the thought of owning Google frightens the hell out of me right now.
You said a stop. You said a stop.
What?
You said a stop.
Get a stop loss. No.
You said a stop.
I mean,
Don't
look,
do stop loss.
I agree with everything that you're saying. It is very scary. We've already seen search growth revenues for the past 5 quarters decline. We're from 14 to 12 to 11. Last quarter, it's 10. It's still growing, but the rate of growth is declining. And that's why I think the stock is trading at 15 times next year's earnings. I have Google calls. I followed Pelosi. I bought in the money 150 calls in January. Those are destroyed, and they're probably going to be tax loss harvested. The one thing, though, I agree with on Jordan is that there's other parts to Google besides search. So there's a lot of part of the moats like Waymo, Electronic, all these different things that are being discounted, YouTube Cloud. The problem is 55% of the 90 billion they bring in is from 10 blue links. And based on how I know you invest, Chris, you don't give a shit about GCP's operating margins. You care about where the world is going. If you think the world's going to LLMs, it's hard to own Google.
Well, I just care about what the market is going to actually think.
Dude, I wish I could talk that fast in real life. Like that was fast, but like I want to be able to talk that fast in real life. But look, that's the point, right? The argument that Camilo is making is I don't care about GCP, I don't care about YouTube, I don't care about the cash they have, and I don't care about the buybacks. I care about where the world's going, and he does not see the world going towards 10 blue links anymore.
So like,
but they're in the LLM game also, right? So
barely. Yeah. So
they're in it.
Every search you do is now an LLM result ahead of their blue links.
Yeah.
They just need to figure out how to get some advertising into their results faster, and maybe they have a chance.
Yeah, I was joking yesterday with Chase, and we said that if we worked at Google, we would just shut the entire thing down and force everybody into Gemini right now. No, like right now, like we're just you're gonna force it, and I give the team 90 days to figure out how to work those links in, because long term, every point of market share that they lose to ChatGPT, every single time a human on Earth starts to use ChatGPT, like I did 2 years ago, Dave, I told you I stopped using search and you thought I was nuts. Now everybody's talking about the fact that they don't use search anymore because once they use ChatGPT for 30 days, they literally stop using Google.
Making the default way to search in Safari be one of the LLMs that's whoever pays them the most.
They just have to force their people to say, you know what, you're now using an LLM instead of search, and you're using ours because you haven't switched over to ChatGPT. ChatGPT hasn't won you over yet.
It's not easy, dude. It's not easy. Google cannot cannibalize their entire business, which does, 55% of $90 billion, as at least for Q1 when it comes to pay-per-click advertising. And there's a way they can incorporate it with LLMs. It's just not as easy to kind of see what the vision of that looks like. And Sundar, probably doesn't have exactly the right strategy on how to navigate that right now. And I'm sure they'll have the strategy eventually, but the question is going to be too late. So I don't think Google's cooked. I think there's plenty of parts of the Google thesis. I do think the search stuff is a headline narrative issue that they're going to have to deal with over the coming months. But this is when it's up to Sundar to basically show off, no, we are still one of the most dominant AI companies and consumers will adapt with us. We're not just going to lose consumers to companies like ChatGPT, XAI, etc. Rocketlab right here, down about 3%. Grinders down 8%. MicroStrategy's up 1.2. Bitcoin was getting close to 103 at 102.8. Now it's back to 102.3. Affirm down 7%. Rumble is flat. Serve Robotics down 4. Innodata down 7. AppLovin's up a little bit. Pinterest, great numbers. 15% up on the day. Coinbase down 3. Rocketlab again down 3. DraftKings up 2.8. Dropbox down 1. Sweetgreen, the worst one today, down 10%. HubSpot down 7. And then the Bitcoin miners down a little bit on the day. CleanSpark down 3. Lyft up 7.3 on the day. So there you go. That is what we've got on today's earnings. All right. I think that is it. I'm going to link Rocketlab earnings call from Matt Money right here. He will be able to give you guys a lot of good coverage on Rocketlab. So this is the link right here. You can listen to the call if you own Rocketlab. I mean, I'm not that disappointed with the stock. I didn't expect it to moon. I didn't expect it to tank 15%. It's down 3.4% right here. Not that big of a deal. So Rocketlab, 2241 currently right now. And if you want to listen to him speak, Sir Peter Beck, there's the link right there in the chat. Trade Desk is the winner. Trade Desk is the winner today, up 16% after those earnings as well. And then TMDX also, this one, small cap, relatively small at 3 billion, but up 11%. Those numbers also very good. And they raised guidance, which is the big thing that most of the street is looking for right now. Bitcoin right here, 102.3 currently right now. All right, cool. That is it. That is it for me. Busy day. We had a lot of stuff happening today. We had the first trade deal announced. Again, I am a fan of it. I think the deal they got with the UK, although that was probably the easiest deal we're going to get, was a good deal. They got some good concessions. They kept the 10% tariffs. You had the UK Prime Minister and the UK trade representatives acting in a very amicable way, so it seemed like a win-win on both sides. Market liked it. Trump said, hey, it's time to buy stocks because we're going to get good numbers. If Basent can do what he needs to do over the next 3 days in Switzerland and start negotiations with China, then hopefully we're going to be in a good spot as well going into the latter half of Q2. All right, that's it. That is it for today, as Tyler says. And with that, our call with the CEO of AK Media is over. Dude, I was listening to the Bloomberg thing again today, and like, now I get why you guys are harping on this AK Media thing, because it sounds so weird. She's like, the CEO of AK Media. And I'm like, listen, I'm like, this is so cringe, dude. Oh my gosh. And then at the end, she's like, thank you to the CEO of AK Media for spending his time with us today. I'm like, oh, this is so weird. I didn't know you guys would latch onto it as much as you did, but you guys absolutely latched onto it. And now it's a thing. And now it is a thing. But I guess we got to embrace it. All right, cool. So that's it for today. The Boston meetup is happening in May. I'm going to be putting out the Google form tomorrow on the Market Open. We're not doing Texas in May. Texas is a little bit too big of a state, so I'm going to take some more time to plan it. But Boston looks like May 24th. That's going to be the day. Tomorrow morning on the Market Open and on Twitter, I will put out the Google form link. If you're in Boston, if you're near that area, you can come through. I'll give you guys the details probably over the coming days. And Boston will be the meetup for May. And then June, I'm still thinking the UK. In June. So not confirmed yet, but I would love to finally come visit the UK. And it looks like we're going to do that going into June. Chat says, imagine if you had built an AIP app for this. Yes, of course. Imagine if we had built an AIP app for this. Shout out to Chad. If you don't know Chad, if you don't follow him, this is Twitter right here. We did a video, by the way, on the newest products in AIP, especially around vibe coding. I put that on Twitter the other day, so you guys can watch that as well. Chad is a big employee in Palantir. I would say he's a rock star in Palantir. He's called a forward deployed architect, but quite frankly, he just does everything at Palantir. That's really what his job title is. And so, yeah, you can follow Chad as well. I'm going to be hosting a Twitter Spaces with Chad and someone else. I don't want to say who in Palantir, but someone new that really you guys haven't heard from ever publicly on Twitter, on YouTube. They're going to be on May 13th. So next Tuesday, we're going to be doing a Twitter Spaces with Chad and another person. And so that should be a fun one for Palantir as well. All right, cool. That's it. Dunn says, Amit, I'm new here since like yesterday. Are you online daily on the opening and closing of the market? Yes. First of all, thank you for subscribing and being here, Duns. Every single morning from 8:45 a.m. Eastern to basically 11:30 Eastern. So about 2.5 hours, we're on the Market Open. And 3:45 p.m. Eastern to about 5:30 Eastern every day, we're on the Market Close. So 2 times a day, we're here doing this. And welcome to the community. And thank you for being here. All right, good stuff. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. We'll be back with the daily recap later today around 7 p.m. and then Market Open tomorrow. It's already Friday. You know, I was talking with Steve about this yesterday. I couldn't call Steve today. He's stuck in meetings. I tried to call him on the Market Open. He was in meetings with lawyers or whatever. And I'm sure you guys will relate to this because you guys are a more older demographic, and I'm getting older as well now. Does it not feel like time moves quicker when you get older? Like how is it May? It is insane. I asked Steve this yesterday. Steve was like, dude, you don't even want to know what it feels like when you get into your 30s and 40s. He feels like he was 22 yesterday. I'm like, dude, this is like when I was a bit younger, it felt a bit slower, right? I'm gonna be 28 in 4 months. I just turned 27. Where does this and I feel like as you get older, this is just the nature of life, right? Like time moves way quicker than you would expect. When you're a kid, you feel like you have all the time in the world. Even when you're in college, right? You feel like you have all the time in the world. Now it's just like, dude, like life's moving quick. Life is moving very, very quick. So when I brought that up to Steve yesterday, he was like, you don't even want to know what it feels like once you actually get much older. It's like time moves fast. And I think the key takeaway from all that is to enjoy the moments that we are living in, whether it's a random May 8th with a ton of earnings and we're all trying to figure out what's going on, right? These are the moments of life. Or whether it's getting to be on Bloomberg TV. Like, these are the moments you just got to take advantage of, capitalize on, enjoy them. Because life goes by fast. Life goes by fast, dude. You guys are crazy. Life of a CEO goes by fast. I cannot, the amount of different jokes you guys come up with every day on this is insane. Some new people, I think Abhishek, he's new to the chat as well. He was like, dude, this chat is hilarious. I'm like, you don't even know how hilarious this chat is. I genuinely think you put up our chat against any chat on YouTube. I don't care what category it's in, comedy, politics, finance. I think we have the best chat. I think legit we have the best chat when it comes to reacting to things in real time and then finding any joke that you can latch onto and turn it into a million different subcategories of jokes. It's actually hilarious, but it's also incredible. So love you guys. Appreciate you all for being here. We'll be live on the Market Open tomorrow. And yeah, we'll keep going. Hard just says Joseph Carlson brought me here. Not gonna lie. See, that's really cool, dude. He didn't. Joseph Carlson did not have to do what he do. Do we guys want to watch this? Do we want to watch this to end out the show today? Do we want to watch this? Let's watch that, because I saw that for a little bit yesterday. So we can end out the show by watching that. But he did not have to do the segment that he did yesterday, giving me a shout out. But he did, and he was super, super nice about that. Super, super cool. So let's pull that up right here, and we can watch that and then end out the show. I find a way to keep the stream 3 hours every single day. I don't know how I do it. I don't know how you guys make me do it, but every day we end up going for 3 hours. All right, here we go. Here was Joseph Carlson on the show yesterday with his take on retail investors. You know, time flies by when you're growing older as an adult, and then even in these streams, bro. Like, how is this already an hour, 30 minutes in? I don't know, but it goes by fast.
More and more retail investors that have higher quality research, better tools for analysis, and they have longer term, deeper understanding of the companies that they own than institutional investors. And in many cases, they're way ahead of institutional investors in many of the best stocks. An example of this is a recent appearance I'll highlight from Amit Kakreja. This person is a retail investor. He's a fellow YouTuber, one of my peers. And here he is on Bloomberg. So he made the journey all the way from YouTube, do it yourself.
Hold on, did we get Bitcoin 103? Oh my goodness, we got Bitcoin 103. Oh my goodness, dude. Holy crap. And it's not just 103, it's 103.4. Like, where's Hoodie? Where's Hoodie? Hoodie 54.45. MicroStrategy is at 421. And Coinbase is still down 2.6%. But Bitcoin, my goodness, 103. I mean, look, if you got any exposure to crypto, you're probably pretty happy. Bitcoin, it was 75,000 2 weeks ago. Now at 103. And the thing about this that's getting me really excited is I don't think this is retail. I think this is institutional. All of the momentous signs of retail, Google searches, App Store rankings, yada, yada, none of that's happening. This feels like some big money is coming in and they're planning to buy and not sell it for a long time.
Retail investing, just talking with other people in his community, they're now being highlighted on Bloomberg. And the section from Bloomberg was a response to Palantir's earnings. They had basically a section where they brought on a retail investor because it has a big retail following. And the interesting dynamic here is that I believe that what they kind of expected here was the retail investor to be silly, to be a little bit, naive, to not really know too much about the company except for they want to pump it and rocket emojis. That's the feel of what's going to happen when you bring on a retail investor. But what I want you to do, and I'll play a couple clips here. I want to highlight some of this. What I want you to do is just listen to the quality of commentary, the knowledge of the company, and his remarks, and compare all of that quality compared to the average institutional commentator that comes on to CNBC. Compare the two.
Of AK Media, about 250,000 followers you've got across YouTube, across X. You are very popular for your thoughts on the stock among what, well, Dr. Karp himself has called a retail army. What do you make of the numbers today?
Hey, Carolyn, thanks for having me on the show. I've been covering the company for the better part of 5 years now, and I've been joined with a very passionate retail investor base. And there was something that retail saw in this stock when it was trading in the single digits that Wall Street did not see. Obviously, we've seen what has happened since then, and now Wall Street is buying it at a higher premium, but maybe that's because it deserves a higher premium. I mean, you're talking about a company that just did 39% year-over-year revenue growth, 71% U.S. commercial growth. The remaining deal value is up 127%. Their U.S. government business is now accelerating to 45% year-over-year growth, It's a company doing $900 million in revenue, nearly 900 million, with less than 800 customers. I know the valuation's aggressive here, but I think the growth is starting to warrant it.
He has all the numbers, doesn't need a teleprompter, doesn't need to have a device in front of him. He has all the numbers off the top of his head there. Very knowledgeable about the recent growth of the company, the growth prospects.
Bro, it just hit 104. It just hit 104. What is going on? It got rejected at 104.1, now back to 103.6. Someone's buying heavy. And if retail is just starting to chase at these levels after the past couple of days of momentum, then, I mean, that's only going to continue to compound what we're seeing. Robinhood's now number 15 in the App Store in finance. Where is Coinbase? I think those downloads are probably ranking up. As soon as Bitcoin starts really seeing momentum, that's when you see the downloads start ticking up. Coinbase is number 20 in finance. Let me check in the entire App Store. If Robinhood and Coinbase are in the top 200, retail's coming back. And they haven't been for the past 2 months. So if they get in the top 200, retail, I would say, is starting to come back. I don't think retail is the reason it's pumping this much, but I think retail will start chasing right here if you start to see those downloads. In the top 200, do we have any of them? No, still not yet. Wow. Robinhood and Coinbase still not in the top 200, which means there is still plenty of room for growth on the overall sector if these two names start getting in. Looks like we're going risk on, folks. Looks like we might be going risk on. I mean, Bitcoin is the risk on asset. It looks like that's happening. That's really good for Robinhood and trading volumes. A lot of people were worried about Q2 and what would happen to Robinhood if crypto volumes declined. I know it's only been a couple of days, but if this continues, Robinhood's going to have a hell of a Q2 coming up later this year.
Acknowledges the valuation looks a little stretched, but highlights that Palantir is a one-of-a-kind company. It is growing far faster than most companies in the market, and it is solely in artificial intelligence. So people are paying a premium for it. Now, again, this interview goes on, and there's a series of questions being asked here. And I just want to give you another highlight of the type of quality response you're getting from a retail investor.
Interested in your take, perhaps from some of the analysts out there. Jeffrey's saying, look, this is really a retail trade. I'm not hearing people talking about Palantir in the institutional market in any way the same amount that we're hearing in the retail community. Is that retail resilience there?
Well, if you look at the institutional and retail ownership split, it's 50-50. So this is not Tesla in 2019 where it was 70-30. I think there's a 50-50 split. So there's obviously institutional investors that are excited about the name. But in terms of the valuation, let's take a second and step back. OpenAI is worth $300 billion on the private markets, and they're not even profitable. AIG said this a month ago at their investor day, and Palantir quoted this in their slide deck in their earnings yesterday. AIG expects the adoption of an AI-powered underwriting solution leveraging AIP, Palantir's core software offering, to double its 5-year revenue CAGR from 10% to 20%. Alex Karp, the CEO of the company, has been saying that large language models largely are becoming commoditized. The implementation of them is what matters. I'm not saying the stock is cheap. I'm saying the aggressive obviously is the multiple is aggressive, but it might be warranted because the implementation of AI is what really matters, and Palantir is delivering those results.
When I look at the quality of response, the knowledge of the business, I don't believe there's any institutional investor that could go against on this subject. Frankly, most institutional investors look at some analyst report on it. They have a buy rating or sell recommendation, and that's about the extent of knowledge. And they also have 2 to 3% positions on companies like this. Retail investors that have this in-depth, deep level knowledge on the business, making a bet on the company when it's $7 per share, watching it go past $100 per share. And then we have the media saying, well, isn't it expensive now? And that's true. Palantir is an expensive stock. It's optically very expensive. But that's the same type of concern that we hear institutional investors and different people say at widely successful stocks, companies that have already won. It's the same thing I hear all the time from Costco. Isn't the stock expensive? Why do you own such an expensive stock? Well, I bought it much lower. I bought it before institutions were piling in. When you bought Costco at $300 per share, you're not concerned of whether or not it's 800 or 1,000. It doesn't really make a difference. When you're
This is such a good point, bro. For those that bought Palantir, even at $30, you kind of don't care if it's at 120, 100, or even 80. Like, you just don't care because you got in so early. And that's the benefit of like being early, right? And having someone else buy shares at a higher premium because you got to be there when other people didn't believe. That's what Joseph Carlson did on Netflix. That's what he did on Costco. So he's making an argument that retail, even though they can be inside of a ticker that is disrespected by Wall Street and seen as like a grossly overvalued, expensive company like Netflix and Palantir are seen by some of the institutions, because of their ability to crowdsource information and get in there early, they might not have to worry because they have such a high margin of safety in case the stock were to even fall 30 or 40%.
So widely in the green on a stock because you bought it at a time period way above when the institutions even caught notice, you're not as concerned about the valuation. And like most good long-term investors, you continue to hold a company so long as it's performing. I believe that you could put people like Amit, someone that's studied this company for years, that's made significant bets, that knows every single thing about the company. You could put him against, I think, any institution. I think he'll be able to go toe-to-toe, if not debate and know more about the company than most institutions. They have their Bloomberg terminal, but that's not knowledge about the business. That doesn't tell you all the intricacies and qualities of the company. Getting a feed line of the latest news on the company is not fundamental research. So what retail investors are doing, like Amit, is far more important than what many institutions are doing. Now, of course, I'm talking about Amit here, but I'd also put my own research against any institutional investor any day of the week. We can go back to examples like 2022. I did an interview with Amit on his channel. At the time, his channel was much smaller. It's got like 5,000 views, so you probably haven't seen it. But this highlights the quality of research done by retail investors at this time. In the same interview, Amit goes over his thesis on Palantir. He says why he thinks it's a great buy. Palantir was like $20 per share. So it's gone up 5x since this interview. It was
Okay, so that was an old interview that I did a while ago. Do we want to watch that one as well? We don't have to watch the whole thing. We could watch well, there's a couple different segments in it. There's well, I asked him about his Netflix thesis. I was definitely wrong on Netflix. Joseph Carlson absolutely crushed it on Netflix. So we can watch a little bit of him talking about Netflix, but this was a different Amit. This wasn't Amit with I don't even know how to describe it. It was just different, but yeah, let's listen to him talk about Palantir. We'll talk about Palantir versus Netflix. You guys can, if you want the full pod, I'll put it in the chat. You can listen to him talk about Netflix, but this was why he didn't buy Netflix back at the time. And I think I talked a little bit more about Netflix. This is what my mom would refer to as terrorist Amit or Taliban Amit, however you want to call it, Amit. It's not me saying that, it's my mom. Seriously, that's what she called me. So yeah, we'll watch this for a little bit.
I got to start with first. You don't have a position in it. It's down almost 70% from all-time highs. Definitely was overvalued at $45. Agree with you. Should not have been a $100 billion company at that moment, 3 months after going public. But things have gotten back to earth, and they're growing revenues 41% year over year. I think it's very hard to find companies that are growing at even 25% year over year. Is there a world in which you start to get friendlier to buy Palantir one day? And what's the hesitation from buying it?
Yeah, so I know I'm in hostile territory here as a non-Palantir shareholder. So my thoughts on it are, obviously that was an easy call like last year. I mean, in hindsight, it's easy, but in reality, it wasn't just Palantir that fell. Like almost every speculative stock.
Those same bricks were on Bloomberg the other day. Same ones. Real bricks made it from a YouTube channel 3 years ago to Bloomberg the other day. Real bricks. So you can see how real they are right there. They were real on Bloomberg. They're real right now. So the bricks have come a long way.
And I don't mean speculative in a negative way. I just mean high-flying, high-multiple stock came down. When I look at Palantir, I think, let me just outline a couple thoughts on it. So the company, I like the industry that it's in. I like the leadership of it, Peter Thiel. I like the fact that it's kind of a monopoly. Obviously, I like software. I think that code is like the future. A lot of the story fund is based on that. The valuation has come down to much more attractive levels. I think it's at like a 15 price to sales right now or something around there. Yeah. It was at a 40. And my basic message was, back then, a year ago, I came out the video of why I'm not buying Palantir. And the basic message was when something's trading at a 40 price to sales, you just don't have like the valuation safety. Like you don't have that in the stock. So it's got to like crush it and everything has to go perfectly. And even then you don't have a ton of upside support. So that's the same case with a lot of them though. Like I've kind of exited out of all of those. Once I saw these, like a couple of them, the dominoes tip over, I'm like, the market is not rewarding this risk anymore. So I exited out a lot of those, like DoorDash, Snowflake, CrowdStrike, Atlassian, and those were good companies to exit out of in 2021. So, but anyways, with Palantir, I think my big reservation, the reason that I haven't bought into it, is not really concerned about valuation. In fact, I think the company is okay valuation right now. It's just when I look at the investments that I've stumbled on, it's been ones where I feel like I'm investing in more of an abstraction. So I'm investing in something where I'm investing in a concept or an idea rather than something that like I for sure know exactly the ins and outs of everything. So if you look at the investments that I've done well on, and this is my personal like portfolio kind of history, I've done really well in Apple. That's a company that I bought when people are saying it was overpriced at a 20 PE ratio. Now it's up to like almost.
So you guys can listen to the whole thing, but essentially he's saying, look, I don't know what Palantir does. That's basically what he said. He was like, I don't know what the product is, what it does, what like the point of the software is. I can't touch it. I can't feel it. So from that perspective, it was hard to invest in it. And that's fair. That's a fair bear case, right? Sometimes you got to invest in stuff that you actually know about. But that was the magic on Palantir. It's like a lot of us had no idea what they did, but we felt so attracted to the story, the mystique of it, the idea of it, the concept of it. We all knew it was important for some reason, even if we don't know exactly what they were doing. And that's where it took a lot of retail investors to just put our heads down, focus, and try to figure out what's going on with Palantir. So if you guys want to watch it, yeah, the video has like 5,000 views, dude. It was from a long time ago. It's one of the only podcasts that Joseph Carlson has ever done. So he doesn't really do podcasts. And back at the time, I was a very small YouTuber compared to him. So the fact that he even did a podcast, I think was just kind of a, I don't know, a sign of respect that he liked some of the content, even if he didn't own Palantir and he wanted to contribute to help the growth at the time. And so he hopped on. We talked about Palantir, Alibaba, Netflix, what it means to be a creator, Patreon, Tesla, all that stuff. So it was a decent hour-long pod we did a couple of years ago. All right, cool. That's it. I'm out. I will be back tomorrow on the market open. We stayed an extra 30 minutes because this is what happens every single day. Uzi is crazy for some of these jokes that he made. I'm not going to read this one. I'll put it on the screen, but I'm not reading that. You guys are a bit wild, and it's probably because I'm a bit wild with some of my jokes, so it rubs off on you guys. But you guys are a bit wild. You guys are a bit wild. Bitcoin 103.6. We hit 104, back down to 103.6. Great day for the overall market, and now we got to see if we can keep this momentum going. All right. Thank you, everybody. Love you all. I'll see you guys tomorrow on the market open. Bye, everybody. Have a good one.